Most teachers and administrators not only want their kids to have developed minds, but opportunities to develop creativity, positive human values, and a sense of personal excellence. But your budget doesn't allow for all of it. You need fundraising. At School Spirit Vending, we are helping a growing number of elementary schools fundraise the easy way, and we do all the work. We provide the sticker vending machine, free customized school logo stickers, licensed and non-licensed stickers like NFL and Disney, as well as tons of other fun stickers that are relevant to kids. The best part? School Spirit Vending is free. No upfront expenses for schools at all. A percentage of machine revenue goes directly to the school, PTA, or PTO each month. And did I say customized stickers? Our skilled graphics team can help custom design your School Spirit stickers. You just tell us what you want. The only thing you do is provide us a busy hallway or commons area. Oh, and you'll have to find the time to cash a monthly check. It doesn't get any easier than that. 2,000 elementary schools can't be wrong. To see for yourself how easy year-round, hassle-free fundraising can be, go to schoolspiritvending.com/schoolzone. Welcome to the School Zone Podcast, your source for the most creative and innovative ways to school fundraise and impact your kids. Now, here's your host, Matt Miller.
Hey there, Education Nation. We are so glad that you tuned into the School Zone Podcast, a podcast that interviews top fundraising and resource companies so you can make educated decisions about resourcing your school's needs. I'm a different voice. I'm Scott Hooper, and with me is Matt Miller, the creator of School Zone Podcast. We're going to turn the tables a little bit today. Today, we're going to interview the interviewer. Many of you have had an opportunity to hear how Matt got into fundraising with School Spirit Vending, but for the new listeners, some of you may not be familiar with it. So, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about the shortened version of how you got into fundraising with School Spirit Vending?
Wow. The shortened version, Scott. No, I was in the military previously, was doing some work in the advertising space, and started up a simple vending business here about, 12 years or so ago, just to provide my family a little bit of extra income. And at the time to help raise some money for MD Anderson's Children's Cancer Hospital down in the Houston area, and had a traditional vending business in and out of restaurants and that type of thing to begin with for, a year and a half, 2 years or so. And then around 07 and 08, had several young kids come knocking on my door selling me stuff for fundraising for the local school. And I thought that was kind of odd because I didn't know the kids. They didn't have parents with them. They were essentially going door to door in our neighborhood in one of the suburbs of Houston. And I had kids of comparable age, and there was no way I was going to let my kids out on the street by themselves to do something like that. So to be honest, it made me a little uncomfortable. And because I had kind of learned the ropes in vending in the previous few years, and because I had a background in print media in the advertising space for nearly 5 or 6 years, I guess at the time, I came up with this idea of, maybe we can get some kids off the street. Maybe we can help raise school spirit, and maybe we can also help schools raise some money in the process. So we came up with the whole concept of customizing school spirit stickers for schools, and then placing sticker machines in the school that would sell those stickers along with whatever else the kids were into at the time. And like I said, great way to promote school spirit and a passive way for the schools to raise money on a monthly basis, not requiring any volunteers or any big events, that type of thing.
Right. Well, you've already done a huge amount of interviews with other fundraising companies through the School Zone Podcast. What makes you different than other school fundraising efforts?
Yeah, I think the big thing is the hassle-free nature of it. Our goal is to step in and take the place, at least with our program, of the volunteers that many schools need but are having a challenge finding these days. Let's face it, most families are requiring mom and dad to work in order to keep roofs over heads and continue to provide. So the number of volunteers that are available out there have dropped off over the years. And So our program enables them to raise money without any man hours being required at the school, and it allows the volunteers that are available and the administrators and teachers to put more focus on doing what they do best, which is educating our kids, instead of spending a ton of time raising money all the time.
So there's a lot of fundraisers that they may do their thing and then they leave, and so this is more of an ongoing type of fundraiser. How much revenue could a typical school get?
First off, the other fundraisers out there have their place, and I don't know many schools that have gone away from having an event each semester of some kind and working with any number of other great companies out there that are doing their thing. But what I've found along the way is there is always additional need for funds. And even with the other fundraising that's being done and that type of thing, oftentimes it's some real simple things that get left by the wayside. I'll give you a great example. I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan here this last December at a principal's event and was talking with a principal from the area. She got really, really excited about our program. And I asked her, I said, ma'am, if you wouldn't mind telling me, what will you guys do with the money? She said, lice kits. I said, say again? She said, lice kits. She said, our district is getting so much money donated, for technology, iPads and tablets and laptops and all that kind of stuff, which is awesome. She said, but the problem is all those funds are being earmarked for technology, can't be spent on anything else. And we kind of have technology overload at this point, but there are some basic necessities that a school like mine needs to have that have no budget for. So this program will help me pay for those simple things that right now are being left by the wayside.
Wow, that is incredible. Most people assume that those things are taken care of, but I can see how it might be easier to raise funds for things more glamorous than, lice kits, I guess. Probably a lot easier to fundraise for things more tangible or even more linked to what we might consider education initiatives. Wow. So if you had a school of 300 to 500 students, Matt, what could you expect there to be as far as the revenue coming in on that?
This isn't going to replace the stuff that they're doing already, but, typically a range, and I'm just going to give a range kind of across the gambit of schools that we work with, Scott, is anywhere between probably $50 a month to, $250 a month. Every school is different. Believe it or not, size is not the primary determining factor. It's the school's willingness to embrace our program and to promote it that we have found, in the several thousand schools that we're in across the country has been the biggest differentiator. And so once again, it's not going to replace some of the other stuff that they're doing, but it's a supplement. Like you said, it's ongoing all year round. And it just kind of happens behind the scenes without anybody at the school really having to deal with it or mess with it.
Well, let's talk about the program. What does that look like? I mean, I know that you train all of your franchisees to go into the school, and they're talking to the principals or to the decision makers. Tell me a little bit about the program, kind of what the steps are. Give me some ideas about the machines, some of the best practices that you would want to see put into place. What are some of the things that I, as a principal, would need to do?
Well, for the principal, it's literally just deciding a location for the machine. We ask that it be in a high traffic area where the kids have daily access. Some schools will put it in the cafeteria. Others will put it in a hallway where the kids, are all through that area of the school each day. Otherwise, from them, it's just a matter. We have a simple one-page agreement that defines our relationship with the school, and they just fill that out, sign it, and get it back to us. From there, they give us, their mascot. If they have mascot art that they'd like to have used and have incorporated in our designs, we're happy to do that. Some schools don't, and we will literally create something from scratch for them. But we do 2 different custom stickers for each school. and have those printed and have those part of the machine as one of the selections in the machine on a regular basis. So the parents and the faculty and the kids have access to those all year round. And then, like I said, we also put other stickers in. Most of the product that is in our machines, we actually create from the ground up, specifically for the elementary school environment. What we found over the years is, yes, there is product that's available off the shelf in some areas, but oftentimes that product is not appropriate for the kids in our schools. So we decided to resolve that issue, that challenge, by creating much of the product that we make specifically for the age group that we're dealing with and working with. You know, our goal is to provide product in the machine that no parent or educator is going to have a problem with, that's going to be uplifting, that's going to be positive, and is going to be a good experience all around. And there just wasn't enough of that product on the market, so we started designing it ourselves. We work with a variety of designers across the country. We're also in the process of putting together a website where we're going to begin holding contests for sticker design with designers literally across the globe to find the absolute best artwork and best designs out there for our schools. So we're putting a lot behind what we do to enable the program to be the best it can be, to provide the most revenue, fundraising wise for the schools. And that everything that we do is a good representation of not only us, but the school that we're in and partnered with.
Custom stickers. I want to make sure I'm hearing you right. The custom stickers don't cost the schools. None of this is costing the schools anything. Just a space to put the machine.
Correct. Yeah, we pay for it all. We get paid, through running the program and through sale of stickers, just like the school raises money in that way. And so we make a pretty significant investment on the front end to provide that customization that nobody else in vending does. It's an added expense, but it's an important one because we want the machine to be a part of the school, to represent the school, and that customization really, really, really makes a difference.
So we keep using the word machine, and I know that through an audio broadcast, it's kind of hard to explain what this looks like. But for the person that doesn't understand the machine, is it like a gumball machine or is it like a Coke machine? Tell us a little bit about the machinery and what makes that so special.
Well, first off, the machine is pretty much made specifically for us in the setup that we utilize it. They're black machines. They're typically 8 selection machines. They stand about 2.5 feet wide and I'd say about 4.5 feet tall, with a sign across the top that we customize specifically for the school. And if you go by any grocery store or restaurant, you're going to find a sticker or a temporary tattoo machine in most of those places. Most adults have never used them. And in many cases, I'm not super excited about, nor are most adults super excited about some of the product that is found in those. So once again, the product that we make is specific for the schools. The machines are built like a tank. The mechanisms and the machines themselves are built to last for years and years and years. So it's meant to be a welcome addition to the school instead of a distraction, and has been designed to fit right in to the motif, in whatever part of the school that we decide to place the machine.
You have customized machines, custom stickers, and school spirit vending puts all of it together.
That's the, you think about it, that's the direction our society is going. We got 3D printers today and all that kind of stuff. Customization is kind of the thing. And one of the disappointments I've seen in the vending industry in general, I've been a part of it for a long time, is there haven't been a whole lot that have decided to capitalize on that trend. And, that's a huge, huge deal for our schools, and what really sets us apart in the marketplace. Anybody can slap a sticker machine in a location, but to provide the customization, to provide the educational piece as well, which we haven't even talked about yet, and some of the other things that we do. You know, we're taking things so far out of the normal realm of vending, to provide the absolute most value for our customers, the kids, with every purchase that they make.
So it's not just about the 50 to 250 a month that you've talked about. It's not just about getting the schools a little extra cash. Let's talk about all the other value adds that you have created and that you're creating, and the vision that you have to see the schools utilize this to its fullest potential.
Well, we've got an obligation in my mind, Scott, to not just sell a sticker, but to impact the lives of the kids who are our customers. And one of the things that we started doing early on, which nobody else out there does as well, aside from the customization, is every sticker is vended out of the machine in a little cardboard folder. It's what provides the sticker the rigidity it needs for the mechanical mechanism to push it out of the machine. Well, 99+% of the machines out there, that cardboard folder is blank. It's just a white piece of cardboard that gets thrown away. Well, what we have done is we print on that cardboard in what we call board games. And the board games over the years have evolved quite a bit. Initially, they were just games. Since then, they're now games with a purpose and some other things as well. When I was growing up, I was inspired to read, and one of the reasons why I'm such an avid reader today is because I was inspired to reading comic books early on. I'll never forget, I would get my allowance money or my money from shoveling sidewalks or mowing lawns, and I'd go up to the local Ben Franklin store downtown 4 or 5 blocks away on my bike, and a lot of my allowance money went to comic books. Well, once we started growing and once we really started attracting a following with our program, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we created some characters kind of like Bazooka Joe in the Bazooka Gum, but they would become kind of like Bazooka Joe of our machines, and they would allow us to educate and inspire kids along the way. And I came across a couple of young guys. I graduated from Baylor several years ago. Caleb Bolenbacher is a young writer, and his friend Tyler Ellis is an incredible artist. And I said, guys, here's my idea. I want to start a comic book series, and I don't know what the storyline's going to be. I don't know what the characters are going to be. I want you guys to figure that out. But I'll bankroll this thing, and I'd like to start making it available as a value add for our kids. So they came up with these 2 apes, Marlon and Percy. In fact, Caleb shows me drawings of his earliest drawings of Super Monkey, I think is what he called it, in his early days, that has now become Marlon and Percy. They're a couple of apes. They want to be superheroes. And we call them principled primates, meaning in their stories, not only is there fun and excitement and incredible storyline and artwork, but there is also principles that are being taught in the background. I look in the comic book industry today, and so many of the themes are dark and adult themed. That's right. And so the goal was to create something that parents would not have to worry about what little Johnny or little Susie were reading, and that hopefully, just like I was inspired, that they would be inspired along the way as well. So initially, Marlon and Percy showed up on those cardboard board games as little 4-panel comics, kind of like, Calvin and Hobbes of old. And so they would show up there. We would have some word finds and crosswords and some dot-to-dots and those type of things as part of those board games as well. And after they were on our board games for a period of time, I was like, maybe we should have some full-length comic books actually developed and kind of develop these characters and their storyline. And since then, we've produced 6 comic books full-length. They're available at marlonandpercy.com or on Amazon. And we've also started giving some of those comic books away in PDF form with some of our vends. So the kids are getting an opportunity not just to get a sticker, not just to get educated with some of the games and all that we have and the content, not just to learn, but they're also potentially getting the ability to be inspired with some reading. I mean, my goal is within the next couple of years to provide, $5 to $10 to $20 worth of value for every vend, not just 50 cents of value for every vend. So we continue to build on that.
I can tell you're a social media butterfly, flitting and flying from site to site, spreading the social information pollen as you go. It's because of your tireless effort that the garden is full of beautiful social flowers like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, Reddit, Tumblr, VK, Flickr, Vine, Meetup, Classmates, and Google+. Why don't you fly over and land on the School Zone Podcast Facebook page too? Follow us and make us a part of your flower garden. Come on, where else can you get current and helpful fundraising news for your school? So fly on over, you beautiful social media butterfly, you.
You've been listening to the School Zone Podcast, your source for the most creative and innovative ways to school fundraise and impact your kids. Now, back to Matt.
One of the things, Scott, you're very, very, very intimately familiar with was something else that we've recently added to our newest batch of board games. It's called Inspire a Kid. Why don't you take a minute and talk a little bit about that, because that's kind of your baby. With some of the work that you do behind the scenes for us and for our schools.
Right, yeah. This is actually the most exciting part of your whole vending process to me, Matt, because whenever I see the kids putting in their money and getting in return way more than just a sticker. I mean, they'll put a sticker on a book or they'll put a sticker on themselves, but to know that the goal is not just for the kids to get a sticker out of the deal, and it's not just to push a little revenue toward the schools. Every educator I know, they're in education for one purpose, and that's to inspire kids toward greatness. They want the kids to become the best version of themselves as possible. My mom was a masterful teacher whose goal was to teach kids to read and to think. She believed that if a child could read and think, that's foundational for all the rest. And we have kids that are coming from all sorts of different backgrounds. Well, what's the thing they all have in common? I think that every kid desires and deserves an opportunity to be great. I believe that every kid has unlimited potential for greatness in some form or fashion. So that is really the concept of Inspire a Kid, the whole concept of identifying the potential and inspiring kids to greatness, to become the best version of themselves as possible. So we're partnering with School Spirit Vending to put some value-driven content with action steps. We have identified 12 basic core human values that are accepted around the world in some form. For example, on one of the cards, there'll be a value that talks about kindness and what kindness is, and then an action step or a quick something they can do that day to be kind to someone. And we have about 4 different cards with 4 different action steps for kindness. Most everyone knows what they're supposed to do, so it doesn't do much good to just talk about what they're supposed to do. We offer ideas and ways that they can put that into action, adults and kids. We're packaging it in such a way that educators who are inspirers can also take the content and have conversations with their students if they want to, and hopefully even see parents that use the content on inspirekid.com to help their own kids at home. And so the whole concept of inspirekid.com, that's what we're developing. I think it's beginning the conversation with the people that are already wanting to inspire kids or are already doing that, making it more intentional for them to say, okay, what am I doing today to inspire a kid to greatness? I see these board games and the website being kind of the seed to begin that conversation.
Yeah, we're hoping that can be content that parents can use in their home. that schools will decide to utilize some of it potentially. We're also looking for ways to teach kids utilizing the machine about entrepreneurship. One of the things that we're going to do this fall, as an example, is we're going to begin to shoot video series that'll be made available to our schools to teach, behind the scenes with Sticker Man and Sticker Woman, and to find out, okay, how do we service machines? How do we process the money? How are the stickers designed? How are they printed? How are they assembled? All those types of things, to where the kids aren't just buying a sticker. They're not just getting a cool game or being inspired to read, but they're also learning about business and entrepreneurship with something that they come in contact with in many cases on a daily basis in their school. So we're creating an entire ecosystem around our machine of tools that the schools can utilize to help further educate. By the way, these tools don't cost the school anything. We are reinvesting a lot of what we do right back into this, because that's how important this whole part of what we do is to us, and the long-term vision for our company and where we're headed in the future. Something else that we do too, Scott, I'd love for you to talk about a little bit, is this last spring, we started producing some audio and some video. Initially, they're just little promotional spots that schools can utilize to help promote the machine, to share a little bit about some of the products that we have in the machine in a fun way, and that type of thing. Why don't you share a minute or two about that and kind of the direction we're heading there?
Right. So to keep the sticker machine top of mind for the students, the classrooms, and the schools, we are producing content commercials that talk about the products. Most are generic, but we are producing a little bit of specific content that points to specific products in the machine. These audio or video commercials are played in the classroom or over the loudspeakers, or the administration can grab the transcript and read it for themselves. We're trying to offer the content in a way that schools can say, oh yeah, I see how I can use that in the context of my school. Every school is different. Their schedule is a little bit different about when and how they do announcements most of the time. There are some schools that do video announcements. Sometimes they have an opportunity in the classroom when there is some dead time, and they can use the time as an opportunity to show a video or whatever. The content is designed to push the kids to the sticker machine. But again, not just to the stickers. It helps increase revenue for the schools and gives an opportunity for these kids to be exposed to the extra value content that we've been talking about.
And we realize, like you said, every school's different, and those might not fit into, what many of our schools want to do. But we know that there's enough schools we've talked to that have been excited about it, to where we're beginning to make that content available as, once again, an additional resource that for those schools that share our vision for this being more than just a sticker machine, more than just a fundraiser, more than just a way to increase some school spirit. And of course, we're excited about feedback and suggestions along the way too, because we're in no way, shape, or form totally locked into what we're doing and how we're doing it. So anyway, if folks have any insights or any thoughts, I'd love to hear them, because the sky's the limit with this kind of stuff and with the direction that we're heading.
And as you've said, what you are creating is a culture, Matt. I want you to speak to that for just a second. This is a culture that you are creating in the entire School Spirit Vending organization. So how many people do you have that are out there doing this, and what do you expect to see happening in the next several years?
We're right now working with about 70 families across the country. I would say within the next 2 years, that number will double. And by then, we'll be working in the majority of the states in the country, if not all of them, at that point. You notice I said families, because not only our desire to educate and to inspire, not only is it occurring within our schools, but it's also occurring behind the scenes in our corporate culture. And our goal is to develop multi-generational entrepreneurs. And so not only for mom and dads to learn how to do business and to conduct business benefiting schools in their area, but for the kids in those families to take part in whatever way they can to help out along the way. You know, my son Zane, who turns 20 here in a few days, he was my first graphic designer 10 years ago when we started SSV at 10 years old. And the skill set that he has learned along the way, the relationships that he's developed, the learning how to deal with and work with people of all ages, all those things have been a huge part of his growing up and have helped put him in a position to where he's in an even better place, prepared to go out on his own and do his own thing as an adult and to lead a productive life. And we're encouraging the same thing with all the families. You know, initially in some families, it's just, you know, their little 2 and 3 years olds just putting stickers in the machine to get some out for themselves in the garage or whatever.
Put them on themselves, right?
Yeah, but over time, they learn how to collate stickers and they learn how to assemble machines and they learn how to do all the different things of what we do, in a lot of ways just through osmosis. And because of that, are learning, you know, the whole entrepreneurship mindset along the way. You know, one of our things in that vein is we're hoping in the years ahead that we begin to hold camps and provide scholarships and all kinds of stuff like that in support of our schools and what they're doing. I envision a time where, you know, art classes, we can put a contest out there to have kids across the country help us design characters for the comic books, whether they be villains or whether they be, you know, good guys in the Marlon and Percy world. And the winners of those contests actually having their characters become part of the Marlon and Percy story, and potentially even those kids becoming part of the Marlon and Percy story. So there's a lot of things that we can do that we have in our mind and are dreaming to incorporate it in what we do as time goes on, as our footprint grows, as we bring more schools into the fold and are able to help them with some of their basic needs. You know, we've got some pretty big plans, and you know, I really wanted more than anything with this talk to share that with schools, not only the ones that we're currently in, but the ones that might have a desire to check out what we're doing more completely, because there is so much more to what we do than just that machine and the stickers that come out of it within the schools that we're in.
That is fantastic. I just think about all the different directions that a school could go when they actually contact you and say, hey, we want to partner with SSV. You know, to say, hey, Matt, we have a little classroom of entrepreneurs and we want to teach them about business using the sticker machine. You know, how can we work together to do that? Or we have this little class of artists. Matt, can we have an art contest for stickers? I can almost hear their questions being asked, which, just like we've talked offline, this is one of the things you really want to see happen. What I'm hearing is that you want the educators and the PTA moms and all the people that are listening to this to hear that this is a company that is not about a rigid fundraising framework and we will not budge from this. You're leading an ultra creative group of people that want to see, first and foremost, kids' lives changed.
You know, Scott, both my parents were teachers, and both of my parents are also artists. And even though I have not, you know, got the artist side of me like they have, I did inherit the creativity side and the understanding of education and the process, because I come from a family of teachers. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're excited about the 2,000 plus schools across the country, elementary schools that have embraced our program so far. We're looking forward to partnering with a bunch more as time goes on, because every school that we add allows us the resources to do some of these other things that we would really love to do, and to provide the type of resources that we would really love to provide. And what's cool is the 50 cents of every vend is what's paying for it. So these aren't other programs that the school's going to be, asked to pay for in any way, shape, or form. These are just value adds that we're investing our own money and resources and time into to make this be, the absolute best experience it can be for all those concerned, and to do some unique and some inventive things for our kids and for our schools along the way. Because once again, our mission statement for our company is funds for schools, freedom for families, change for kids. That change for kids is the most important part in my mind. And that's where we're dedicating much of our time and resources on today, is helping schools provide that positive change using this crazy sticker machine that many of them have within their walls.
That's awesome. Well, I guess in closing, why don't you tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, what the next steps are, what needs to happen from this point, and any other closing thoughts you have, Matt.
Scott, they can go to schoolspiritvending.com to get some more background information on what we do and how we do it. There's also a form that they can take a minute to fill out there on the site to contact us. We've got a team spread out all over the country, so that form comes in to our office, and then it gets forwarded to the team member in that area of the country where the school is inquiring. And then, of course, they'll have the opportunity to work directly with our team member or team family in that area. But we would love to chat. We'd love an opportunity to, like I said, to help out in any way that we can on the fundraising side, as well as the multitude of other things that we've talked about here today. And just appreciate folks' willingness to listen to this podcast, to listen to this specific episode. One of the things that I've learned working a lot of trade shows over the years, as we've, it's been 9 years now since SSV was started, is that our goal is to give as much value to the listeners as possible, to dig deeper into the backgrounds of the companies that are out there doing much like what SSV is doing in the school fundraising and resource space, and to give schools an opportunity to learn more, to find out more of the background that you can't ever cover in a 2-minute conversation on a trade show floor, which is how most schools find out about the different companies that are out there. So conversations like this one we're having now, and the 60 or so others that we've had so far with other companies that do similar things in our marketplace. Our goal and our hope is that this becomes a real asset to the educators, administrators, and volunteers out there, because there are some really, 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 really cool companies out there that most of us have never heard of, that are doing some things that are revolutionary in this space. And so grateful for the listeners listening. I hope that the SSV story is inspiring, but I hope that many others that you're listening to are as well. That's the whole purpose of this thing.
That's right. So Education Nation, if you enjoyed this interview, please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the School Zone podcast, you need to do that. You can listen to tons of other stories about other companies that are fundraising, and you can really get the inside scoop. That's what I've enjoyed the most, just kind of the inside story on a lot of these places, how they began, why they do the things they do, and how they have impacted schools across the country. Because those are the things you don't ever get a chance to hear in only a 15 or 20-second elevator pitch on a trade show floor. And Matt, I appreciate the time. I'm looking forward to seeing kids inspired toward greatness as SSV grows. Looking forward to seeing how SSV makes an impact in the 60, how many thousands of schools are there out there?
I think there's like 60,000 elementary schools, so we still got a lot of work to do.
You have a lot of work to do, but I think it's going to happen. So I appreciate your time today, Matt. God bless.
Thanks, Scott, for all you do, man.
Thanks for listening to the School Zone podcast. If you liked the podcast today, we would be honored if you would leave us a review and a 5-star rating in iTunes or on your podcast player of choice. Your review helps us gain more exposure so we can serve more schools like yours. Have a company you'd like Matt to feature on the School Zone podcast? Have a fundraising question you'd love to get answered? Send a voice message to Matt. We would love to hear from you. Visit schoolzonepodcast.com and click on the Ask Matt a Question button on the bottom right of the page. Simply record, listen, and send. It's that easy. Ask Matt a Question on schoolzonepodcast.com.